Hey everyone, and welcome to the Creative Financing Podcast. I'm Nicole Kamanjian. I'm here with Cody Richard and the host of this show, Jeff Rappaport. This is episode 213, and today we're going to be going over how to talk to sellers about creative finance. While listening to this episode, if you guys have questions, please head over to the Creative Financing Podcast Facebook group. If you're not part of the community, just search the Creative Financing Podcast in Facebook and ask to join. We're going to have live sessions on the second Thursday of every month in that group. So please bring your questions as well, and Jeff will be able to answer them. If you're watching this on YouTube, just ask your questions in the comments below. If you get value from this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And we also want your feedback, so please rate and review wherever you listen.
Awesome. Thank you. And so today we've had a bunch of questions about how do we talk to sellers and how do we find out if people are interested in creative finance. And to me, that's like the easiest part. I think people are so afraid to just ask, and that everyone's under the impression that the market's been good and it's been so good for quite a while now that there's no reason to owner finance. And my argument to that would be, well, then there's really no reason to take a lowball cash offer, right? The market's great. People should get more money for their property. So there's always a need for owner finance. And so I'm going to ask both of you. Let's start with you, Nicole. How do you find out if someone is interested in potentially open to taking terms?
Well, there's usually like a series of questions that I go through. It's really just asking if they're open to taking payments for their equity.
Okay. So basically you're doing this on a regular basis when you're talking to a seller for the first time. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, it's always one of the questions in there.
It's just part of your script.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And what do they normally say to you?
Well, lately a lot of people have been doing like 1031 exchanges, so it hasn't been that's not a scenario where creative financing is useful. But I've had people that have said like they're open to it and ask like, so what are the terms? And at that point I'm like, well, I'm not sure what the terms would be yet. And then I ask like, is the property free and clear? Things like that to get more information.
Sure.
So that we can come up with terms.
Okay. Cody, what about you?
Yeah, so usually I'll just intro the conversation, try to build a little rapport, and I've started getting their asking price before I ask about terms.
Mm-hmm.
So once they say their asking price, property's worth 200, they ask 200. Say, okay, if I can give you $200,000 for the property, would you allow me to make payments to you long term?
Yep.
So I've started going that route with asking.
Yep. And has that proven to be successful for you?
Yeah, people seem more open to it when I ask that way.
Yeah.
So that's been helpful. And if they push back with like, how much would you put as a down payment or how long? I usually say, well, if we can give you the price you're looking for, does it really matter to you what we do as the down payment or the interest rate or anything like that?
Yep.
And then if it does matter, I'll try to dig into those numbers and see what they need.
One of the things that I really like what you just said is that you're coming back, that they're asking you a question, and rather than giving them a definitive answer, you're basically coming back with another question. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you're trying to do?
Yeah, I've found that the best deals I've gotten has been from them giving a price, them giving a down payment,
yep,
and going through terms. Because if I start listing those things, I don't know if they would have said something better.
Correct. Yeah, no doubt. And, I'm to the point where you, as soon as you start giving options, right, that now that becomes the expectation. And If you do that, you will never know. Could you have gotten it for a better price? Could you have gotten for a lower down payment? Could you have gotten it for a longer term? Stop talking so much, right? And ask more questions. That way you're going to get real information back. Plus, I think as human beings and as real estate investors, we want to try to educate people. And the more that you start educating someone, the less likely you're going to get that deal. That's been my experience. What do you guys think? Cody, obviously this is what's working for you right now, and I would totally agree. Nicole, on a little different level, is that something maybe you could use going forward?
Oh, definitely. That actually was a helpful tip.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually struggled a little bit with talking with sellers just because, getting your script right. It's kind of a living document, right? Like you just got to try different things to see. And everyone has a different personality. So there's just different approaches of how you talk to people.
Sure.
Depending on how their tone of voice, right, on the other line.
Mm-hmm.
I think my problem has been trying to rush through the conversation. I don't have the patience, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm just kind of
it might still be the confidence too.
Yeah,
right?
That too. Yep.
You're trying to gather the information as fast as possible because then there's no issues, right?
Yeah.
There's no pushback. There's no
Yeah.
potential confrontation, right?
Yeah.
So the faster you can gather that information, the faster you can get off the phone.
Yeah. So I've learned to just be quiet and let them talk, because some people are really they'll just start rattling off, and don't interrupt them. Just let them, even if it takes you on a little bit of a tangent, you can always bring it back. It's not that big of a deal.
Let's talk about a couple of different things. So Cody and you have two different perspectives on this, right? Because you've been doing acquisitions with us for a year, which is you're the second call, right? Mm-hmm. So information has already been gathered by our lead manager, and now you're calling. You're probably going over some of the information a second time, verifying some things, reinforcing some things, but now you're able to, kind of bring a little more meaning to it, where our lead manager is basically just asking questions and writing down information. In your business, you are still, talking direct to sellers and or brokers, right? So, and do you find it different on an initial conversation where you're talking to them for the very first time, gathering all the information, as opposed to, hey, it's the second conversation? Do you find there to be a different type of conversation for each?
I almost like having the initial conversation more. I know more of it's information gathering, but I like the chance to build that rapport. Yeah. I try to joke around or have a little bit more fun with the sellers when I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
And when I'm on that second call, like you said, it is more confirming, and I do dig deeper into things, but it feels slightly harder to have the time to build that rapport. But they're both definitely different.
On that second call, you're probably getting a little more specific too, right? Because you already have been able to look over some of the initial notes and kind of evaluate. It's one thing when you're talking to someone and you ask, so what do you think the property is worth? And they say 250, and okay, what's the least you would take if we can close on the date of your choice? And they say 240, and 220, 235, 238, well, whatever the number may be, right? That, and sometimes you forget to ask a question like, what do you think it's worth? Or they're giving you an as is value rather than a after repaired value. And So maybe your mind doesn't really put all of that together, and like Nicole, who's kind of in a rush, right, to get off the phone. What I'd rather do is spend more time and let's figure out if this is truly a lead right now, right, where we can ask some additional questions like, is that really the best you can do? Because if it is, the only way I'm getting there is if we can buy, with some terms. Is that something that you'd be open to? That way, I agree. That first conversation, I'd rather do it, but it depends how your business is set up and how many leads you're dealing with, right? Because otherwise, you, the owner, gets to deal with, are you generating 10 to 15 leads a day where you would have to talk to the seller each time?
Yeah, so I'm having to talk to tens, if not low 100, probably 10 to, I'd say 20 to 40 conversations every day.
For the first conversation.
Yeah, and some of that is a lead that came in that day. Some of it is we haven't actually talked to them.
Right, yeah, you're following up from, right, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that obviously, and that's something that you're going to work through, right? Because there's no way you can build your business if you're the one doing all that. Exactly. However, you're probably getting more information of whether, how good of a real lead this may be, right? Mm-hmm. And you probably get off the phone with a very clear idea that they may be open to terms, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I usually get off the phone knowing what they're asking, how much they need down, how long they'll do it. And I can structure offers pretty quickly after gathering everything on the phone.
So, Nicole, if you are talking to a seller for the very first time, and actually, let's change that. So I know both of you talk to sellers direct, and you also talk to brokers on commercial deals, right? Is there a difference of how you ask if the seller would be open to terms? One talking directly to the seller, one talking to, in essence, the gatekeeper, right? The person that decides what information may get through to the seller. Is there, Nicole, do you find that there's a difference between the two? And if so, what do you do differently?
I mean, it's the same question. I don't really ask it differently. I feel like agents sometimes don't even know what you're asking. So
either do sellers for that matter, right?
Yeah. So to me, it's been the same. I mean, I talk to commercial agents as well, and that's also a different conversation than even just like a residential agent. But I'm still asking and maybe this is where I kind of suck at it. I just ask it the same way. Like, do you know if they're open to terms or taking payments for their equity?
Mm-hmm. What about you, Cody?
Yeah, I ask fairly the same way, but I also follow up a little bit deeper because a lot of brokers or realtors that I talk to are just immediately like, nope, even if they haven't talked to them.
And they've never discussed this at all, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times I'll follow up with, hey, I'm looking to get a deal done for you and the seller, and this is a way that we can pay more for the property and get them the price that they're looking for. Is there any reason that they wouldn't want to do like owner financing or taking payments for their equity?
Yeah. And there's some additional questions that you certainly, if you bring this up and the answer is no immediately, right? To me, that there's probably one of a couple of reasons why that happens. One is they don't understand it, so the answer is no. Two, they need all their money because they have a plan with that money. Maybe it's a 1031 exchange, or maybe they're cashing out of this house, they want to put it all into another house, right? Those are probably the three main things that come up. Otherwise, if you're talking to the seller, it would probably be helpful if the answer is no, and understanding what kind of property it is could make a big difference, right? So if this was a rental and someone's owned it for 15, 20 years, they're going to have a tax consequence coming up when they sell, and it could be significant. So maybe something like, oh, so you want to just get cashed out, and but you're not worried about the tax consequence that you'll have once you do. Because if we could look at terms, that might actually help you in terms of that tax consequence. Are you sure that's not something you would consider? Again, question, right? It ends up always being a question. So it's always good to try to find out what is going to happen, right? So what is the goal of the sale of this property, and what's the current situation? Is it a rental? Have you been living in it for the last 2 out of 5 years? Because now you can sell it without a tax consequence up to $250,000 or $500,000 gains. It's always good to understand. And when you get better at talking to sellers and or brokers, that there's ways to kind of throw this in where you're not becoming like pushy, right? That you're not trying to jam this down their throat, but at the same time, more than likely, when you have some experience doing this, you're going to, as you're gathering this information, you're getting a really clear idea, can this work in some way, right? So right away that if someone's asking the property, they're telling you it is worth $250 all fixed up. It's dated and they want $230, right? To me, you're telling me that, yes, I'll go verify the value. Maybe they're wrong, but based on those numbers, there's no way I can pay cash. I don't have an exit strategy that will work for me paying cash for basically retail. And I already know this, right? So why not, rather than play these games and keep chasing a very mediocre lead at best, why not have that discussion now where we either understand one another where we have to go and see if that can work, or hey, we're just not a very good fit for one another, and I wish you the best. If something changes, certainly let me know. To me, I'd rather have that, but as a newer investor like Nicole, you're not willing to do that yet, and you will, because the more comfortable you get, the more people that you talk to, you'll realize that, hey, I'm on the phone. It's not always easy to get these people on the phone again, right? So
yeah, that's true. I've learned that.
So let's have the difficult conversation now, and let's see if this is worthwhile. Otherwise, hey, Cody, if you got 10, 15, 20 leads that you're dealing with a day, do you really want 7 of them that probably nothing's going to happen with, to remain on that list? And even if it's only 7 a week, after a month, it's another 28, 30. And I'd rather be like, okay, let's move on, get to the people that we can work with, than not ask those tougher questions and get some answers so we see where we can go with it.
Yeah, the vast majority of my calls end with, yeah, I really appreciate hopping on, but it sounds like at this point in time, we're just not the best fit for you.
Yeah.
And like I said at the beginning, I'm not looking to waste any of your time, but I appreciate you hopping on, and hope you have a great day.
Well, and I think next episode, what we'll do is we'll do a sort of a role play, just how we would pre-screen a seller. And then I think a subsequent episode will go through what are some of the most common objections that come up. And we'll get an idea of how the 3 of us would answer them. And I think newer investors, or newer to the creative finance space, think that there's like these magic words to get people to do creative finance, right? It's like, hey, I really want them to do owner finance and they don't want it. That's like me saying, I really want them to take a super low price, but they don't want to. But what can I do to get them to do it? We're not forcing anyone. We're not pressuring anyone. What we're trying to do is give people enough information to make an educated decision on what could work. And understanding a seller's needs goes a long way in understanding if we, in any way, whether it's cash or terms, can provide a solution that will work for them. And to me, that is the goal that we strive for when we're on a call with the seller. Yes, I want to gather the information that I need to know if we are going to make an offer, what kind of offer or offers are we going to make? But I've got to get a little bit to the root of what's going on so that I can structure it in a way that meets their needs, not necessarily their wants sometimes, but more about needs. Needs are more important than wants. Anything else that either of you want to add? We'll wrap this one up, and then we'll dive a little deeper next episode in how we pre-screen a seller up front, and maybe even go into, all right, if it's a second call, how do we go even deeper?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is don't be afraid to say no to a seller. Value your time just as much as you value theirs. And you don't want to spend 30, 40 minutes on a call that you know isn't a great lead or a good lead even. So don't be afraid to say no and keep moving on.
It's an excellent point. One of my very, very first mentors, Ron LeGrand, he has a very unique way of pre-screening sellers. He is very direct and no skipping around, just straight to the point. And he kind of pushes, right? He pushes because he either gets the answers that he wants to know to move forward, or he gets the answers that he doesn't want to know we're done. And everyone figures out their own style, what works best for them. But ultimately, you got to leave that phone call with some answers. If you didn't, you kind of wasted the time. All right. Well, appreciate all of your time. Hopefully this was a great learning episode for you, and we'll continue on with this series and go out and create some terms.